Meanwhile, in the wake of Israel's third landmark peace agreement with an Arab Muslim state since this summer, Israel's ambassador to the United States and United Nations took to the virtual plenum for his first address before the United Nations Security Council on Monday, where he blasted the Security Council members for ignoring the recent changes in the Middle East. Specifically, Ambassador Gilad is calling out the world body for failing to change its decades-old talking points, while the Middle East is changing before their eyes. Joining me to discuss is former Israeli Ambassador to the United Nations, Danon. Ambassador, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, now Gilad he said that in his 2 months in New York, he's seen a jarring dissonance between what the UN focuses on and what's actually going on in the Middle East, adding that the Council must recommit itself to pursuing peace and security and not to let politics dictate actions in the region. Is there any hope of this happening?
But let's look what happened in the last few weeks. We signed a peace agreement with the UAE, with Bahrain, now with Sudan. And instead of speaking about that, the Security Council, they still speak about the Palestinian issue. This is unfortunate. It shows the hypocrisy of the Security Council, the UN. And I remember when I was sitting there for 5 years, I always told them, you should speak about the Middle East, not only about the Palestinian issue. Once you will actually deal with the global issues, you will be able to help the Palestinians. I think it will not happen tomorrow, but in the long run, the more agreements that we will sign with more Arab countries, they will have to recognize it.
Well, that actually brings me to my next question, because Ambassador Erdan also said that the United States has demonstrated for the first time in 25 years that a different approach to the region can yield results. Will the rest of the world actually recognize this fact? Because again, up until now, the status quo was that without peace with the Palestinians, there won't be peace with the rest of the Arab world. But clearly, that's not the case.
So we spoke in the past, and now we are proving that we are changing the paradigm. Before achieving peace with the Palestinians, we have to achieve peace with our neighboring moderate Arab countries. That is exactly what is happening now. I think it will take time until those nations will acknowledge it. When we speak with them directly and we have bilateral talks, they speak about it. But when it comes to the multilateral arena, to the UN, they usually tend to stick to the old points and blame Israel for everything. I think in the near future, once we will come together with more Arab countries to speak to those nations, we will be able to build coalition and to move forward, even in a hostile place like the UN.
Well, so is the United Nations Security Council at this point in time a lost cause, as Ambassador Erdan hinted that it may be?
So I don't want to call the Security Council or the UN a lost cause. We should criticize, we should reform the UN bodies, we should ask them to focus on the main issues. But the very fact that you have a place where you can sit down, have a talk, have a negotiation between the nations, I think it speaks for itself. So yes, we want the UN to function, but we have to reform the UN and to make sure that they focus on the main problems, on the main issues.
Ambassador Danon, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Aaron.